Okay, now I want to talk about how Texas becomes part of the United States. And I think it's a very, very interesting story. What happens is that by the 1840s, especially after the Meyer expedition, after the failure of the Somerville expedition, which morphs into the Meyer expedition, Sam Houston, who's once again president of Texas, he makes another push for Texas to become part of the Union. There's a complicated discussion of all this in Campbell. I don't think I make you read it, but I'm going to give you really, I'll give you just the overview here without all the nuts and bolts, which I don't really think are that significant. Because there was a lot of negotiations, a lot of back and forth, and it's like I can't even remember what happened myself, so why should I make you remember? But the big picture, I think, is really interesting. So what you had is Southern slaveholders are determined to bring Texas into the United States. And the reason for this is they knew that the land of East Texas was very, very rich cotton growing area and it was undeveloped, so they wanted access to it. But the other thing is that they became really paranoid, Southern slaveholders, that Great Britain was going to come in and grab Texas from the United States. Now, when I say this, it doesn't mean that Great Britain would have come in and taken control over Texas or run Texas or established a British colony in what's now Texas. The British had no interest in that. But what the British had is that they were the biggest consumers of cotton. They were the folks that were paying the best money for the cotton that's being grown in Texas at this time. So they have as the buyer of Texas cotton, Great Britain has a huge amount of leverage on the government of Texas. Also, Great Britain is very, very powerful militarily, and Great Britain is saying to the Texas government, hey, we'll negotiate with Mexico, we'll make sure that Mexico recognizes your independence. So what happens, much to the horror of Southerners, is Great Britain, Southern slaveholders, is Great Britain starts to have a huge voice in the affairs of the Republic of Texas. Great Britain has such a big voice in the Republic of Texas that Great Britain persuades the Republic of Texas to abolish the slave trade from Africa. If you remember your U.S. history, the slave trade from Africa had been abolished in the U.S. in 1808 as part of the deal when the Constitution was written. But in Texas, of course, was not part of the United States, so that 1808 deal meant nothing to Texas. So as late as the 1840s, you still have slaves coming into Texas via Havana, for the most part, directly from Africa. What is happening is they're being shipped on Spanish or in Portuguese vessels. They're landed in Havana, and then these poor souls are purchased in Havana and brought to Texas. So Texas is the last place in the United States that has slaves more or less coming directly from Africa. Now, what had happened in the 1830s, and this is what freaks out Southern slaveholders, in the 1830s, Great Britain decided to abolish slavery. So in Jamaica, slavery was abolished. In all the Caribbean colonies where slavery had gone on for so long, Great Britain abolishes slavery completely. And